Hello and welcome to the Tarkus Zone. Thank you for joining me. Today we're playing a little Diablo 4, and I'm going to be talking about nightmare dungeons. Now, I just read an article online about the developers are going to be revamping the whole nightmare dungeon, how that works. And I've got some tips here about how what I've been doing now until they make this change. And I imagine these tips will be very helpful to you anyway, even after they've made their change to the system. Currently, right now, when you want to do a nightmare dungeon, and I suggest doing them at the highest tier because you get the most bang for your buck. But you can do them at any tier, I believe. If you go into your inventory and you go to consumables, you'll be picking these tokens up that allow you to turn any dungeon into a nightmare dungeon. I have none on me right now, and what's nice about the game is the game allows you to create them at a specific vendor. And I think the vendor for this town is down here. So let's just go down here and we'll create one just so I can show you what I mean by of creating them. The nightmare dungeons are tier based. So there's a window, a tier window. So go here. You can salvage the ones that you've got. I always salvage them and then I create the ones that I want. And what I mean by a tier system is the higher the tier, the more difficult they are. Now, granted that you can make them all the way up to 91 to 100, but my suggestion for you is do these here, tier 41 to 50. That's the sweet spot. They're really easy. They're not difficult at all, and the reward drops are the same. So basically, anything over 40. Between 40 and 100, the rewards, the things that you get, like the drops, the loot, the items being given in the dungeon are all off the same loot table. So there's no difference between, and there's no higher chance, it's all the same. From between 40 and 100, the loot's the same. The only thing you gain by doing higher tiers is you can add more experience to your glyph at the end, and that's the point of the nightmare dungeons currently, is to enhance the glyphs that you want to use in your toolkit. So let's go to abilities here, and I'm just going to just show you for example is I've got a glyph right here. And this glyph gives me 65% damage while berserking and gives me a 10% reduction from elites. And this glyph, I believe, is 18th level. And the glyph itself, for every 5 strength purchased within its range, I'm getting a bonus. And then if you have the threshold of 40 strength, it gives you the extra additional bonus of the 10% reduction. So these are what you're enhancing. These are what you're leveling up. I am running 4 glyphs. This one's level 18. This one's level 17. This one's level 17. And this one's level 17. I'm bringing them all up at once. All tide rises. So when I do a nightmare dungeon, at the end of the dungeon, there's this dome that goes over you that protects you. There's a pillar that's there. You click on the pillar. That pillar allows you to add experience to whatever glyph you want to add experience to. Currently, right now, the nightmare dungeons work. Basically, you just want to race to the end. There's no reason to slow down. I mean, and that's why I've got a lot of speed boost in my toolkit, so that I can just race to the end and get it done. When I do nightmare dungeons, I can knock them out in less than 8 minutes and be done. Now, here's a tip for you. If you want to do them with a group, the nightmare dungeon exponentially gets harder, regardless of its tier. So let's say you do a tier 40 nightmare dungeon and you invite 3 friends. Granted, you would think 3 friends would actually help you get it done quicker. No. Unless they're Johnny on the spot and everybody's in tune, I have found that once you add a party member, the difficulty rating goes up. Hit point. I mean, Blizzard Entertainment did not put much thought into this, because it just seems like they multiply things just to cause the time sink. Because when you just add one person, all the mobs' hit points double. There's more CC. There's more just time constraints. So what I've been doing is just running them solo, getting to the end boss under the 8 minutes, and then inviting my friends at that time. They join on me, I kill the boss, and they just run to my location and then upgrade their glyph. That's the easiest way to upgrade glyphs in this game with teammates. So you have 3 people sitting on standby. Tarkus runs the entire thing in under 8 minutes. Tarkus gets to the end. Tarkus says, then join on me. Everybody joins on me, teleports in. I kill the boss. They get all their glyph XP. Because that's what all it's about right now, the Nightmare Dungeons, is glyph XP. So that's really all you're there for, right? You don't care. I mean, I guess you can slog through it and try to kill all the mobs for experience, but there's so many better ways in this game to get experience than to just slog through a Nightmare Dungeon. But that's going to be changing soon because the developers come out to say, yeah, what we've got now is not working. It doesn't make sense. It's supposed to be our end game mechanism, but nobody wants to do it because once you get your glyphs to a certain level, at 17, 18th level, I'm pretty much godlike as it is. I can pretty much do anything solo in this game. So getting up to 21, I don't know, what that's gonna matter. So what they're going to be doing in the future is within a month, I believe, your nightmare, the little tokens that you use to let's just make one so that you can see how you do it. So I go to this, I go to craft. I want the 41 to 50. I'm going to craft one. Then I'll go into my consumables. There it is. It ended up being a 44, which is nice. And then it gives you when you go to convert this thing, it gives you the pros and the cons. So I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to activate it. Now, if I hit M, it's going to show me its location. And then I could port over to this waypoint here and go over to it. In the future, what's going to happen here is when you activate it in your inventory, what it's going to do is it's going to put a portal next to me and I can go right to it. So what they're going to do is try to save you the run time to get there. So in their wisdom, they thought people did not want to make the run anymore. So what you'll do is you'll get a portal next to you. You'll go right into it. And then when you're in the Nightmare Dungeon, when you completed it, you can activate another one. It will create a portal. So you can just run them back to back to back to back without having to do any travel time. That's one thing that they're changing in the future, that you'll just be able to do them back to back to back. The other thing they're going to be doing is adding more experience for them. So they become what you want to do in the future. Right now, you can do Champion's Demise and get all the experience you want. Right now, I'm 94th level. That's where I've been grinding my experience, Champion's Demise. It's really easy mode, really easy. I don't go to Nightmare Dungeons currently to get XP. I just don't. It's not worth it. What I go for them is just a race to the end to get the glyph, or to get my glyphs upgraded. So in the future, they're going to be making it that the Nightmare Dungeons are more enticing to go in there for XP grinds, better mechanics in the game. Because right now, some of the mechanics are really silly within the Nightmare Dungeons. They just pack on fear, cold control, that windy wall, and a lot of hit points. So it just seems like rock, paper, scissors at this point. Not chess. Not like a systematic way to, it's really easy mode right now. And I think a lot of people complained of the kind of easy mode that they currently are. Some people find the game a little difficult based on their play style and based on their what they're playing. But with me, I created my character class. My character mode, which is the Barbarian. I created him to basically soak up damage. He's not a huge damage outputter, so I'm not hitting like a truck. But what I am doing is it's the last hit that matters in this, not the first. So as long as I'm not dying, then I will just survive everything on the map. And that's basically where my build, my reduction build, my bleed reduction build works, is I can safely just combat anything in these Nightmare Dungeons and not really have to worry about them really hurting me all too much. So right here, I'm just running. It's a race to get to the end. That's what, hopefully, if you know, things are just melting around me. And when the mini map on these frozen maps, the mini map kind of like blends in a little bit. So, and that's how I navigate a lot. See, things are just folding around me. And you would say, well, Tarkus, why don't you just do a higher tier? And as I believe I explained that anything between 40 and 100 is going to deliver you the same loot table. So it doesn't, I mean, I can just run these over and over again and just quick. So if I went with a higher tier one, it would just take twice as long. And I think for time management purposes, I think doing it this way is better because you just get them done quicker and then you can move on to the next one. So it ends up being more XP in my opinion, because it just, let's say you go do a 80th level one, it takes you 40 minutes to almost an hour to do that. Well, you could have done 4 of these. I mean, and you would have ended up with more XP to utilize on your runes at the end. So as you can see, there's nothing in the game that... oh, they got me with a CC. I was about to say there's nothing in the game. I was too much talking and not enough clicking. So they got me in a CC, which they shouldn't have been able to do because I had an unstoppable available to me, and that's what Tarkus needs. That's the first time I've died in 8 days. It's right there, and that thing of it's like I'm talking while I'm playing, and it doesn't that two things don't work out, as you can see. But more or less, if I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing, there's nothing in this game that can hurt me, really. If I'm not if I'm actually utilizing my abilities, there's nothing in this game that can hurt me. All right, so does that get that door open? I thought I only had to, okay, I think that door's open now. Okay, I got somebody whispering to me. Oh, the wall's still up. So I guess there's one more that I gotta kill. I guess I should have been reading the side there. Survive the enemy attacks for... Oh, okay. So it's not... I have to survive these attacks here to get the door to open. So I did kill all the mobs. That I needed to kill to get the wall open. Now I just had to kill that barrage that came in. Alright, so here I just got to kill a couple of these pillars. I mean, they're not it's not bad XP, but it's just not the best use of your time, I don't think. I don't think currently, and they're going to fix it. Like I said, they're going to be making it so that you're going to get a lot more XP for these things, and it'll be worth sticking around to mop up the mobs. Right now, it's just a race to the end. That's how they. Sometimes you've got to kill a boss at the end. Sometimes you've got to just kill a few pillars, and I think this one is once I get the pillars destroyed. That's the end. I think that's going to be the end of the Nightmare Dungeon. Alright, so that was not where I wanted to go. Alright, so we'll just go down to the next one here. What I do like about Whirlwind is its ability to just mop up mobs. And I'm not running the traditional Whirlwind build. I'm running a damage reduction. So yeah, like I was saying, is you just had to take out those pillars. Now at the end of the Nightmare Dungeon, they drop 2 pieces of random gear for you that go automatically in your inventory. But this is why you're here, is to go to the glyph stone, click on it, and then upgrade your glyphs. And that's it. That's what you want to do. That's what you're racing to get to is this pillar here. So once you get here, So in a lot of cases, what I would do is, knowing what this was before I destroyed the last pillar, before this came up, I would then auto invite my friends to the group, so they didn't have to run it. Because that's the other thing about it is, if you're doing it in under 8 minutes or whatever, when you get to the end, you auto invite the other 3 people at that point, and then you just clear it real quick, and then they can just teleport to the location. What they'll do is they'll get teleported to the dungeon. They'll still have to run to here, but they'll be able to get it for free, basically, because they wouldn't have to do any work to have gotten here. So that's how I've been doing it with my friends. Is I do all the work, I get to the location, invite them, they join me, they come and they utilize the thing, because that's what that's all about. Now in the future, when the Diablo developers decide that they're going to add more XP to these things, and it's to the best interest for them to be here, your friends to be here for the full boat, because they're going to get experience for it. But in this situation, as it is now, people are just in it for getting the glyphs updated. So you just do an auto invite right before you finish the last part of the dungeon. People get into the dungeon, then they take advantage of the fact that you've cleared it for them. And that's what we were doing today. Is every 8 minutes, I was just doing one of these things. Every 8 minutes, people were joining on me, getting the glyph and being done with it. And then they're able to go to their glyphs and level them without really doing anything, but just waiting for Tarkus to get to the end game, or get to the end of the Nightmare Dungeon. Well, that's really it, folks. I just wanted to talk about it. And show you a little bit of gameplay around it. And I feel like a noob by dying that once. It was just that I was talking and I wasn't hitting the buttons right. I just got up and I'm on my first cup of coffee, so that could have been it too. All right, it looks like this dog here is hanging out with me. Hey, doggy, doggy. All right, well, thank you for joining me, and this has been the Tarkus Zone.